And we're getting into the main card anyway, so we're getting close. Oh, actually, this is the last fight. What am I talking about? This is it. It's Dolidze. It's Imavov. It's the main event. It's middleweight. Let's go. First up, Dolidze, of course. Do I have anything here? Yes. Has 7 KOs. 7 KOs. 4 in the UFC. Insane stat here. He had 3 KOs in 2022. 3 KOs in 1 year. How crazy is that? His only losses in his entire career, Trevin Giles and Marvin Vettori. And that Marvin Vettori one was, yeah, that was his last fight. And that makes sense. You know, Vettori, a pretty clear top 5, maybe even top 3 contender. Don't hold that against him. And by the way, it was actually a fairly close fight too. Even actually stumbled Vettori a couple of times. Obviously didn't knock him down because Vettori has the chin of a statue of Michelangelo, of course, but has been stumbled there for sure. Which would obviously mean his edge would be the striking. Huge power, really awkward. Actually, this is more of a DDP style. I mean, Luana Carolina, I mentioned earlier, unusual striking as well. This kind of reminds me a little bit more of DDP, where it's like you don't really know what he's going to throw. He kind of just throws it. He just throws it, and he's got a shit ton of power, so he knocks people out. That's kind of what he does, which makes him very, very dangerous. The problem with that, though, is he really does not keep a high pace. He just, like I said, he kind of just blitzes in there and hopes to do some real damage. Not really a consistent pace to win a decision, that's for sure. He's really banking on that knockout. That's kind of his only real way to win. Yeah. But the unorthodox part of it definitely helps him quite a bit in general, and probably in this one quite a bit too, because Imavov actually really struggles with people that are unusual. That's why he struggled so much with Strickland, is because Strickland himself is also pretty unusual. So he struggles with that. He struggles with people that aren't fighting like they're supposed to. You know what I mean? What else here? Where did I lost myself in my notes here? Oh, that was it. The odds, plus 140. Now, moving on to Imavov, of course. Never been KO'd, and that is very important in this matchup specifically. He's never been KO'd. So, can he get the KO here? Not sure. He's never been KO'd before. I don't know. But, shockingly, he lost to Phil Hawes. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Phil Hawes lately, but has not been doing the best. And yes, Imavov does have a loss to Phil Hawes. So that is concerning to say the least. But he's pretty well-rounded. At least he's proven that way so far. Uses his range really well with kicks and such. You know, the jabs and everything. Really keeps that range well, which really he needs. He very much needs that in this matchup, because if you get close to Dolidze, you're probably going to get knocked out. So really needs that range here. Very technical striking, so the exact opposite of Dolidze, really. He's just exactly what you would imagine. Like, that is what you're supposed to be doing when you're striking. Exactly what he's doing. Very quick strikes as well, but not really a whole lot of power. So he's got the technique, he's got the speed, but he doesn't really have a lot of power behind it, and we've kind of seen that in each of his matchups. It's why he doesn't knock anybody out at all. Like, he doesn't even really stumble people or knock them down. He kind of just lands, moves out, lands, moves out. That's about it. And then he also does have some decent grappling in there. He is Dagestani after all. I mean, he's got to have a little bit of grappling in there, of course. But yeah, the distance, that's a huge part of it. Really controls it well, moves quickly, uses kicks. Very important in this matchup specifically. but the pressure, he does not deal well with forward pressure. Again, that's another reason why he had a huge problem with Strickland, because Strickland always moves forward. He doesn't deal well with that. And that actually did happen against Chris Curtis as well. Struggled a little bit with the forward pressure of Chris Curtis. I mean, well, actually, I was going to say he did end up winning. Kind of didn't. It was a no contest. But it looked like he was going to be winning. But still, whenever Chris Curtis started walking forward and Mavov started walking back and wasn't throwing anymore, who is always walking forward in this situation? Dolidze. So it's a definite problem in this matchup for sure. And he's at minus 200 right now as the favorite. So who am I giving the edge in this matchup? It's really close again. Dolidze's power and style could easily get him a finish. He really could get a KO. I would not be surprised. Even though, like I said, Mavov never been finished. But he's also never gone against anybody like this. So, you know. And Strickland, by the way, did also stumble him quite a few times. And we know, and as Sean even said himself, he doesn't really have power. Strickland, not a knockout guy. And even he managed to knock down, I think he got a knockdown. Maybe he just stumbled him back into the fence. But even he managed to do that against a Mavov. Imagine what somebody like Dolidze is capable of doing to somebody like a Mavov if he lands even a couple of solid punches. I mean, really could be the end of the night for sure. But on the other hand, Mavov has a lot more skill all around. I mean, there is no doubt about that. Mavov, for sure, hands down, is the more skilled person. There is no question about that. But he does not have much power. So that's a problem because Dolidze just walks into people. And he was walking straight into Vettori. So if he's doing that with Vettori, I would imagine he's going to do it with Mavov too, because Mavov much less dangerous than Vettori. And he did wobble Vettori like that. But that being said, yes, Mavov does have the more skilled background, especially with the grappling. So, I mean, you know, if Dolidze really doesn't get that KO, he's in for a very long, uncomfortable night of grappling, probably. So that could very easily happen as well. A lot of grappling from Mavov, nullifying that power, that unorthodox style, and he could get the win like that. So it is definitely very close, which is why it's even. I'm sorry, I couldn't pick one for this one either. There are too many questions, again, for both sides. I don't really know if Mavov is that good, and I never was really super convinced that Dolidze was that good either, but I am slightly more convinced now that after that Vettori fight. But still, it's too close to call. There's too many questions on both sides, so I gotta go even, which of course means the smart money bet would be on Dolidze, the underdog. I had to think of who the underdog was there for a second.